Hello and welcome to another episode of Curl Up with Cathy Bramley. Today my guest on my programme is, I'm not in the treehouse today because it's too miserable to go outside. So I have, I'm sitting in my little sitting room, and my guest today who's about to join me is the wonderful Fiona Harper. Hello, Fiona.
Hi there.
Hello. I do like that. I like that behind you. Hope. That's a message for all of us. Hope.
There will be I put it up there to remind myself to do it occasionally.
Yes. Just hope. Hope that this book will eventually get finished. That's what I think, anyway, in mine. And I like that other one. Is it? I can only see the bottom of it. It says "end up in my novel," but does it say something like?
It says "careful, or you'll end up in my novel."
Yeah.
Yes. So my sister and my stepmom bought that for me because they thought that would be a hoot. So I have it hanging up. Just as a warning for anyone who comes in and interrupts me when I'm mid-flow, that they might end up being a villain or killed off or something.
Yes, I'll make you the baddie. Yeah. Do you ever do something with there's a charity that often ask you to donate a name in, you can be a character in your book if you donate money to charity. Have you ever done that? With Click Sergeant.
From Mills and Boon, they got a bit. There was, I think there'd been an issue with someone who'd sued because they'd had their name in a book. I can't remember which book it was or what the name was, but there was a little bit of you need to be careful about that. But I would do it, especially if it was set up, done and set up properly, and you're not going to get yourself into trouble if they don't like what you write.
Yeah, I've done it a few times actually with Click Sergeant, where they, in fact, the one I've just finished. I'm allowed to. In fact, the person who bid on the auction was named Fiona, actually.
That's a lovely name.
But it was a lovely name. But she bid for her aunts to go in the book, and so her aunt is actually the person in the book. But it's always good fun, and I do like using names of things. I did put all my siblings in one book to see if they read the book. They didn't. I think my brother did actually, but the girls didn't. But never mind.
Occasionally, I hide friends in the book because it's normally one of those moments where I've got like a secondary character that's popped up, and I think, what do I call them? What do I call them? And I go through all my friends and family mentally and pick a name.
Yeah.
But I haven't used my siblings because I don't know how they take it.
No, I've done that with my friends. I had. One of my friends, her nickname's Bobsy, and I had a rabbit, and I just called her Bobsy. I was horrified because the story was this rabbit. It was a bit of a sad story actually, but it was a rabbit that had been mistreated by its owners, and the RSPCA had to come in and peel Bobsy off the bottom of the cage, and her wee had frozen to the. I don't know why I started this story.
Bobsy.
I don't know why I started this story, but anyway, I had to read out a passage when I was in Waterstones one day, and I chose the bit about Bobsy the rabbit, and my friend Bobsy was sitting in the front and she'd never heard, she hadn't read it yet, and she was absolutely horrified when I said that Bobsy had been given a Brazilian. But anyway, poor Bobsy.
Did Bobsy have a happy ending though?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's just say.
Let's move on.
Move on from poor old Bobsy, yeah. So I do, but I do put people in my books actually, and quite often I'll I need a surname, and I'll just turn around to my bookshelf and I'll just pick a surname, and stick that in. But it's quite hard actually naming characters, isn't it?
It is. Film credits, sometimes I get surnames from, because then I don't come up with all the ones I look at. Think of off the top of my head, but I quite often have to rename my main characters in my books 3 or 4 times before I find the right one.
And
then I'll leave, sometimes I'll have missed a name and there'll be the wrong name, and hopefully the copy editor catches it.
I know. I did change a character's name from Matt to Max, or Max to Matt in A Patchwork Family, and there was one that slipped through the net in the ebook, and somebody picked it up. But it's so easily done. Or you go through and you do a find and replace, but you forget to just do whole word. And you you get the fern, for example, you get the well, you know what I mean anyway, when you change
Yeah,
the
I
whole
think
and
I
you end up.
once did a search and replace for ship and changed it to boat. But then, of course, everywhere along, it was a romance. It was all the relation boat.
It's exactly that what I was trying to get at. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's happened to me as well. But I know now you have to select whole word. It's a lot. It's
Oh,
a
I
lot
didn't know
easier.
you could do that. Sometimes I do it manually now just to make
Yeah.
sure.
No, you can select whole word only, so it doesn't go for those ings and all the rest of it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about your next book that's coming out. I know it's not out for a while yet, but tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's going to be called The Last Goodbye, and it's a big love story, as my editor calls it. So, love story with a bit of a concept or a twist to it. It's a bit Sleepless in Seattle meets You've Got Mail meets P.S. I Love You.
Oh my goodness!
I know.
Is
So
it a tearjerker by any chance?
I think it is at the beginning. I definitely cried through some scenes writing them, like a complete
Wow.
at my desk, having to push my glasses up to wipe my eyes and then carry on typing. But it's kind of ultimately happy and kind of not tragic, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think it's sad because it's about a widow called Anna, and she's only in her early 30s, and she's lost her husband a couple of years beforehand, and she just can't seem to switch gear into living life without him. And so one New Year's Eve, she's feeling really lonely. Everyone else is happy and kissing each other at midnight. And she goes home and she's got this little ritual she has occasionally. She's kept his phone number going. And she phones his number to listen to his voicemail greeting. And just because she never got that chance, he died quite suddenly, so she never got a chance to say a proper goodbye. So she wants to think, I wish I said something more meaningful than, can you get a pint of milk while you're at it? And so on New Year's Eve, she gets very wound up and she finally speaks, and she just kind of pours her heart out and tells him she loves him. And a voice speaks back to her instead of just hearing silence. So she's a little bit freaked out by that. But she's like, oh my goodness, is he talking to me from beyond the grave? But it turns out it's not him, that his number's been reassigned, and an unlikely friendship strikes up between two quite lonely people who are both stuck in their own ways, with a bit in kind of grief and guilt, and don't know how to move on, and so they help each other move on.
Oh, I've got goose pimples.
And then
What a
it's a
lovely
case of
premise.
when friendship could become something more. It's, are they ready to risk their hearts to really love again? And then there's always that risk of losing someone if you love them. So it's, are they ready to really
To
move on
risk
and take
that.
a chance on love? So
Yeah. Oh wow, that sounds fantastic. So it's called The Last Goodbye,
yeah,
and that's going to be out when?
ebook and audio in December, and then a print in spring next year.
Wow.
So a bit of a wait
Mm.
still.
And there's something special about this one, isn't there? Because you won't be Fiona Harper on this one.
No, I'm
Is.
changing my last name. I'm going to be Fiona Lucas. Just, after 26 books, it was, it's maybe time to change things up a bit, do something fresh, kind of.
And also it marks a bit of it's a slight change in, not genre, but it's a slight change in direction there, isn't it? In terms of that sort of big emotional punch. So
yeah, it's certainly the first. It's not a million miles away from what I'm doing, so I'm not making a secret about the fact that Fiona Harper is going to be Fiona Lucas, because I think people who like my books will like these ones too. It's not a million miles away, but yes, it's a slightly different change, and it's a chance to do something fresh and have a fresh start and a new look and a new brand and things like that, and all sorts of other marketing-y reasons.
Yeah. Do you like getting involved in the cover design and the look of your books, in your brand as such?
I do, as much as I'm allowed. So we had to, actually, I really like the design. I haven't quite got the cover yet. My editor emailed me today, so like very soon will we see the cover. So I'm very excited about that. So I know basically what it's going to look like, and I really liked this one, but there were a few little things my agent and I said can we see it like that? Can we see it like that? And we ended up with something I think everyone was happy with. So, but it'll be interesting to see the final version.
When are you hoping to reveal that?
Hopefully soon. So like next week or two, maybe.
Oh, that is exciting.
I don't know.
I
I'm
love
hoping
it.
that because since my editors talked about it, I think I'm just
Yeah.
thinking,
I must
please
admit,
let it be the next week or two.
I do really, really enjoy being part of the team to work on a new cover. I find it really interesting. And of course, you've got so much that you know the story so well yourself, and you know what's going to work. And of course, you're working with a team who are trying to interpret that feeling and that look and what you're trying to achieve with the book. So it's and they're trying to. They've all got their own agenda, haven't they? And not in a bad way, but the sales are trying to make it appeal to the widest range of people, and then you've got the marketing people who want to capitalize on the in colors and whatever. So it's everybody trying to get the best out of the design. So we're just designing the new series for me, which will be coming out in ebook this summer. And I've only seen pencil drawings so far, but it's so exciting. And then each time I see it's a little bit more detailed. Did you were saying to me that you used to work? You've had all sorts of jobs, haven't you? But one of them was a bit of a graphic design. You were in graphic design at one point?
I did. It kind of not. I actually did. It was probably one of my first paid jobs, apart from a paper round, is that I used to design logos for the music teachers at school. And I did logos for their like music companies and stuff, because I don't know how I got into doing that. I can't remember. I was obviously at some point shown my piano teacher some of my drawings because I was quite into art. So, and when I went to university, it was a bit of a toss up. Do I go and study art or graphic design, or do I study dance? So obviously I went to study dance, which will pay me nothing. But I kind of came back after kind of doing lots of dancing around, spending, a lot of the 80s in leg warmers and leotards, as everyone else did, but actually like all day. I kind of did come back to graphic design and kind of using it in the office I was working for. But also I did some video editing. So doing graphics and titles and stuff like that was quite used similar concepts. So not really properly trained, but enough to be dangerous, maybe.
Have you found that to be quite useful in your own marketing and sort of working on your own books? Is it something you can use?
Yes, in fact, I did most of the graphics for my website when I did it. And I've also I've done lots of my own little banners and things for Twitter and headers and Facebook ads and things like that. I did myself. So
talented thing. You talented thing. I didn't know that about you. So I didn't realise you'd done a degree in dance.
I know. Well, technically. Don't laugh too hard. I had to choose 2 subjects, so I had to do another one when I went to, because at the university everybody did dual subject degrees, and I was going to do English, but for some reason I put down on my form theology and religious studies. So I have a degree an honours degree in dance and theology and religious studies. So
are you the only person
all the dancing nun jokes out there?
You must be the only person in the country with that as a.
I know there weren't many of us. Lots of people did much more sensible combinations like dance and drama, or dance and education, because they were going to be teachers and wanted to teach dance and PE and stuff like that. So
have you ever managed to combine those 2 disciplines?
I have actually.
Go on.
Along the way I've been involved in groups. I go to church quite regularly, so and I'm kind of go to the kind of church where people don't mind everyone being a bit artsy. So I've done lots of performances in my younger days when I was more svelte, definitely. So doing dances as part of worship, or as for other things going on. I once danced with some friends where we formed a little dance company after we left dance college, and we performed in Southwark Cathedral for the bishop for some event, and I can't remember what the event was now, but yes. And at a garden party in the grounds of Lambeth Palace.
Wow.
For a charity thing or something. So yeah.
See, when I do these Curl Up with Cathy chats, I can never predict where the conversation's going, but I honestly would never have said, would never have predicted we were going to be talking about dancing in the grounds of Lambeth Palace with Fiona Harper.
I'd almost forgotten I did it until you were asking, did I combine them? And I thought, oh yeah.
Yeah, actually. So your next book, we know, The Last Goodbye, it's coming out later this year. Let's have a quick chat about your most recent novel, The Memory Collector. Tell us a little bit about this one. What's this one about?
This is probably the darkest book I've written, although it's not like horrendously dark. But it's about Heather, who's the daughter of a compulsive hoarder. And she has the remains of her mother's hoard in her spare bedroom. And she's scared of it. She refuses to go in there. She's got all sorts of trauma from having grown up in a hoarded house. It kind of split the family apart. And so she discovers that she was, through something that she finds in the room, that she was kidnapped as a child.
Oh my goodness.
And or went missing, and nobody's ever talked about it. Nobody knows what happened, and the only way she's going to find out if she starts to sort through her mother's belongings and starts to dig into the past. Wow. And work out, how she found out this way. She finds herself in a newspaper story, a clipping hidden in some of her mum's stuff, and then realizes the missing girl in the newspaper story is her. And I was like, why has nobody mentioned this to her? Why has her sister never mentioned it to her? And what happened? So, and she has a rather dishy upstairs neighbour who kind of gets involved with a motorbike, who gets involved in helping her discover the truth, and there's a little romance along the way as well.
Wow, that sounds amazing. The Memory Collector, I'll have to look out for that one. Thank you very much. Oh, well, that's been really good to talk to you. I've really enjoyed it. Learnt more about you than I expected to learn.
Or ever wanted.
That's brilliant. And I wish you every success with the next book, The Last Goodbye. It sounds really lovely. And as I say, I've had goose pimples just listening to the premise, so I'm sure it'll be a great success. And I look forward to seeing the cover when you're able to reveal it very soon.
Me too, hopefully.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for joining me. Don't go away because I'm going to come back to you in a second. Oh, Fiona Harper there, and soon to be Fiona Lucas. So look out for that. It looks absolutely amazing. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll be back very soon with more of your favourite authors. Thank you. Bye.